Hi, this is Joseph Williams, son of John Williams, and you are watching the Nerfherder Council.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nerfherder Council. I am your host, JT. With me are AJ and Steve. We are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. And if you would like to get some customizable Nerfherder Council swag, just go to shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. If you are currently watching us on our YouTube channel, be it live or on the replays, make sure you are clicking that like button, clicking that subscribe button, or smash the whatever button so that, you know, every time we're doing stupid crap like this, you get notified. For example, you'll be notified on Friday that we're going live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a one-off episode where AJ and Steve and I and some of Steve's friends, who better not get us kicked off of live streaming or else I'm coming over there, I'm going to hit them all with my car.
That's fine.
We are going to be playing a live round of Cards Against Star Wars. So we're going to try not to make it too offensive. How that's going to work, I have zero clue, but we're going to do it anyway. This Friday,
it's going to be offensive. It's just a matter of if we can limit it.
Don't cut off my intro, Steve. Thank you. So we're going to be doing that on Friday, May 28th. This 2 days from tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Damn you, Steve! I finally got through without stumbling and bumbling, and you cut me off. I was having a moment.
No,
I was having a moment. So, anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it. We kind of have a couple different things to talk about on this show. There's been a little bit of Star Wars news. Some of it actually just dropped a couple hours ago. I don't know if it's necessarily considered news, especially if you listen to this show. But we kind of want to start it out with something that AJ had brought to the table. And obviously, you know, everybody knows by now that Dave Filoni, we'll just keep it simple because I forget what the heck his title is. Dave Filoni got promoted.
Executive creative producer, actually.
Okay, there it is. All right. Executive creative producer. So he has been promoted at Lucasfilm, which then, of course, got Star Wars social media all riled up again, like kicking the hornet's nest about the future of Kathleen Kennedy and whether or not she should be running the ship and if she's on her way out. So I think that's crap. I'll just start it off there. I do not understand the arguments there. You know, it seems to me that it's always people that don't like a segment of the sequel trilogy, be it one movie, be it two movies, maybe all three. And I think it's completely, you know, short-sighted to say that she's on her way out or should be, considering the fact that those movies made over $4 billion. And now you've got The Mandalorian. You know, it doesn't take into account Solo and Rogue One. You got all these different cool shows coming up. And, you know, we got season 7 of the Clone Wars. You know, Bad Batch is out now. So I just don't understand why people would be all over her for this sort of thing.
Because it's the internet. That's why. There's no better way to explain it, honestly.
Well, I mean,
one of the pissers about being in charge is that anytime something goes wrong, you're the one to blame. So you take a look at, like, the directorial shakeups that they did for Solo and Rogue One, and you know the Gina Carano debacle, the general lack of direction that the sequel trilogy had, and of course everyone just wants to point the finger at Kathleen Kennedy for those things, and no one else ever.
Yep.
So yeah, all the things we love about Star Wars are apparently somebody else's credit, and then everything we hate is all due to her shoddy leadership. That's really what it boils down to.
I think Wade Lindemann has got it nice and simple. He says, you know, Filoni got the promotion he deserved. It has nothing to do with Kathleen Kennedy. I completely agree. I don't see why the two can't be mutually exclusive.
Yeah, that's the common sense approach right there. That's 100% true. But you know, if you go on Twitter or whatever, that's not the case for some reason.
Yeah, if you see me looking off screen a lot tonight, it's because I've actually got some articles pulled up so I can like read from some stuff. So I got that executive creative. Yeah, right.
We
I got
need
this
a
executive creative director bit from Newsweek, actually. So, some of these are deliberately like crap sites and some of them are somewhat reputable.
Let's
Right.
promote
But,
AJ to executive whatever the hell thing for the show.
Executive creative director of the
Yeah.
Nerfherder Council.
Yeah.
We just promoted you, AJ.
See, you do show prep one time. And promotion.
We seriously we need like a sound effect for show prep, since we like pretty much like never ever do it. We just have to have that special thing like, and now a segment brought to you by Show Prep.
Steve, we used to have that soundboard. You need to get that going on this video feed, man.
Oh, that's two other computers over here. That's too much work.
That's too much of a bitch. All right, so anyway, so
Yeah. So some background on this Dave Filoni promotion. First off, apparently it happened a while ago. They just never bothered to update the official status on Lucasfilm's website. So
Okay.
this whole thing is a lot of non-news, basically. Says it happened months ago, and the website was just the last to get the update. So as fandom's erupting over this, it's actually like been a thing for a long time. This
Wow.
isn't some like new thing in response to anything behind the scenes, other than just going, "Hey Dave, you do some good stuff. You want to run more stuff? Okay." Like,
have at it.
and that's right. Executive creative producer. All that means basically is like he's in charge of making the stuff. Kathleen Kennedy is what's her official role? Of course, I didn't look that part up. Come on, someone bail me out here.
We didn't do show prep. How we gonna bail you
Coffee
out?
lady.
What is she, CEO or something?
Something like that. I don't know about CEO, but like, she's up
Lucasfilm
there.
president. She's the president of Lucasfilm. Okay, so it's like, so does anyone know what Kevin Feige's role is with Marvel? I don't think he's the president of Marvel. I think he's got a job title similar to this executive creative producer.
That's what I thought. Like he's got kind of like the Filoni role. That's what I thought.
Right. He's not the one making the business decisions. He's not running the business of Marvel. And that's where the division comes in. Like, I don't care if Dave Filoni.
He's the president. That's all it says.
Oh,
Marvel
okay. So he
Studios
is the Kathleen
president.
Kennedy of Marvel. Okay. Yeah. So it seems like Star Wars hands off the storytelling duties to somebody else, and Kathleen Kennedy just runs the ship. And that's absolutely fine, I think. I don't think just because you are good at telling stories or making shows or movies that you're good at running a business.
Yeah. Well, I completely agree.
Like this whole thing of like, oh yeah, well, he's doing so great, let's let him run everything. Maybe he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Like the one thing, it's just a coincidence that George Lucas was able to run the business and run Star Wars at the same time because it was an independent shop. But I don't like, there's this garbage thing from Giant Freaking Robot that says he was rumored to take over because of all the unrest behind the scenes. And Disney's been talking to Lucas about coming back. It's like, dude, man is 76 years old. He does not want to do that.
Yeah.
He barely wanted to do it. The only reason he started his own company in the first place was because he was anti-studio system, right? So he just went and made his own movies because no one wanted to like finance him.
Right.
Sure.
The last thing he'd want to do is come back in the Disney structure and do it for somebody else.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think Kathleen Kennedy is doing just fine where she is, and we should let Dave Filoni keep making Star Wars stories for us.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, George is gonna come back to his baby, and he's gonna allow other people to tell him what to do with it. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I think the Kathleen Kennedy thing, I don't think people really understand that, while they're busy crapping on her saying, oh, Dave would do so much better. He would do such a better job. Like, would he? I mean, what's wrong with what she's really done? You've got all these different movies, and she put Dave Filoni in creative charge. So you want Dave Filoni, you got Dave Filoni. She recognizes how good he is. So I don't see what the problem is there. And AJ, I mean, you phrased it perfectly. There's a big difference between, doing the creative side of things and running a business. And if Filoni, while he's out there making The Mandalorian and all that stuff and coming up with all these cool, new ways of making television and cartoons and things like that, she's in board meetings. She's on Zoom calls. So if Filoni is running the show, he's then doing that. He's not out making content.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think people really think this through when they, come up with this whole argument.
Of course they don't. They only got 140 characters to get their thoughts across on Twitter. They're not putting thought processes into it before they start bitching.
Yeah. Trying to figure out how to get it to 280.
Yeah.
Every little misstep. They're like, Kathleen Kennedy needs fired. Like, not everyone's perfect. And two, the things you're upset about are so minor. Like, okay, Last Jedi. You don't like Last Jedi. All right, well, I can pick a Marvel movie that's not my favorite. Doesn't mean that Kevin Feige should be out on his ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I completely agree.
It's perfectly acceptable.
You would think these people would learn from Solo. It's like a lot of them threw a fit about Solo. I'm not supporting. We don't need to sit. And then all of a sudden they're like, after it came out on on home video, they're like, I kind of really like this. Damn, I kind of missed out. Yeah, like quit thinking in the moment. Like just think about things on more of a long-term basis. I mean, it surprises me how few people actually do that. And yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, like the whole Kathleen Kennedy thing really surprises me because I've never once would I think to go, must be her fault. Like, what does she have to do with anything? She's just putting people in place to do their jobs. And, Star Wars has been really profitable. We've had a lot of amazing content. I mean, yeah, Wade says again, Solo and Rogue One, like he's perfectly right, and that's the other thing. Like I was mentioning earlier, like people might say, oh, I don't like The Rise of Skywalker, or I don't like, The Last Jedi, or both. But everybody likes Solo and Rogue One, and they never bring that up. I mean,
well, the Solo one's an interesting point because Solo, remember, that's one of the ones they like to shove in everybody's face because was it Phil Lord and Chris Miller or something? Was that the two guys that did the Lego movie? Yeah. So like the original directors were fired. So they like to point at that as another example of like Kathleen Kennedy being impossible to work for. But the same thing in a different sort of context, but Rogue One also shifted directors, and both of those movies that you just mentioned are awesome. Yeah. So clearly the changes that she made are actually working. Like she may be a pain in the ass to work for. Colin Trevorrow bailed out too, but the movies that we get for the most part are great as a result. Like we can debate Rise of Skywalker, like JJ didn't exactly stick that landing, but he was also called in at the 11th hour to try to pull something from nothing.
Yeah.
So
I'm just going to agree with Wade here. He says Solo and Rogue One are fantastic Star Wars films. He is 100% right. Mm-hmm. So in fact, Weaver has a comment here. Like he says a small nitpick about Kathleen. I'm mad that she spoiled that Vader and Kenobi are facing off in the Kenobi show. It would be way more epic if we didn't know and then we saw it. See, I think if that's the one thing we can complain about where she's concerned, I don't think think we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, if that's the one thing you got to pick, things really aren't as bad as some people are making it seem.
Yeah. Joseph Wren, what's up, man? Good to see you again. He's right. Everyone is psyched for Kenobi, so you got that coming. There's way more. There's way more hits than misses. Miranda Helmick says she's like the general contractor, making sure all the subcontractors who bring the talent do their jobs and make great content. Yeah, I mean, and you can't really fault her. I mean, she brings in Jon Favreau, and as soon as he proves to be excellent at the job, she's like, okay, here, do more. It's not like she's just swapping people out. And, if something works, she's trying to, continue it and further it. So I really don't understand where the complaint is at. I mean, I think she and Filoni are a perfect pairing if you want to be truthful about it. She's made a lot of great stuff. I mean, we're basically at I think we can all agree that this is basically like the zenith of Star Wars content by far in the history of the, I mean, what was it, 44 years yesterday since A New Hope came out. We've never had a time period in the 44 years where there's been this much content.
Cheers, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cheers to Star Wars.
Cheers to Star Wars.
But, yeah, I mean, so you have a ton of stuff. Star Wars is as big as it's ever been, at least in terms of content, and the quality of it is excellent. I mean, you look at The Mandalorian, Andor's coming out, Kenobi's coming out. Eventually, you'll have more movies, in a few years. What is she doing wrong?
Well, you had brought up the report that came out earlier today about JJ. So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean,
Insert eye roll.
yeah, this is. I mean,
Well-
they'll go ahead.
Well,
Andrew, sorry.
people like to blame the sequel trilogy on Kathleen Kennedy
Mhm.
because they say it was aimless. And JJ actually talked about that today. So JT, you read the article. Set us up with this.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I roll my eyes, Steve, is because this isn't anything that we haven't talked about. But it's Star Wars Twitter is like just it's all over the place because you see people agreeing with this or saying that that's crap. And basically, what he did, he was interviewed by Collider, and the interviewer asked him flat out, do you think that the sequel trilogy suffered from lack of a distinct plan, like going and knowing what's going to happen with all three movies, at least and his answer was, yeah, I think it would, in a nutshell, would it, yeah, I think having like a more set plan would be helpful. He never comes out and references Star Wars in his comments, but the question, according to the writer, was phrased around the sequel trilogy.
Right.
So, but I don't understand why this is such a huge thing to people because we've known this.
Yeah.
This is not news.
Yeah, us three have spoke on it before. Like, hey, have the same director or at least have a cohesive story going into it instead of writing it as you go.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that,
yeah, screw him for using common sense when he answered the question, I guess.
Yeah. It's just weird because, the one article that I read a Collider article, I should say, because I read a couple, but others were just kind of like reactions to it. But, they mentioned the fact that, he was hired for The Force Awakens, and then when they were doing it, that's when they hired Rian Johnson and Colin Trevorrow. And then when they let go of Colin Trevorrow, they had to bring back JJ. He never wanted to do more than one movie.
Mm-hmm.
And, they kind of wanted to do like a handing of the baton creatively type of a situation where, JJ would do The Force Awakens and then he would give it to Rian Johnson, who would kind of like play off those threads but do his own thing with it. And then the same thing, he would then do that to Colin Trevorrow. So the whole thing got kind of wonky, when all the Trevorrow stuff blew up. But again, I don't understand why this is newsworthy. It's nothing that we didn't know.
If
And-
that
not
was her
newsworthy.
idea to do that baton passing, though, I will put that on her as a bad decision. And that's one that was made right out the gate in her tenure.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're writing the last 3 chapters of a 9-chapter story. It's not time to get weird and experimental with stuff. Like, you've got to see this through and match the tone of the other 6.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, let's see where this goes, guys. Like, you can't make it up on the fly like that.
No, I do not understand.
It's just
how
so
that
boneheaded. I don't know how the hell you announce a trilogy of films and be like, I don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
You know what you end up with? You end up with the new Star Trek films.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because somebody was mentioning, they were talking about, how Star Wars gets compared to Marvel, and Kevin Feige's name always gets brought up, especially because he's doing a Star Wars movie now, and they said, well, the Marvel movies, those weren't completely all planned out, and I'm like, that's total crap, because they had the comics to fall back on. Like,
Yep.
You knew you were going for the Infinity Stones. Like, you knew that the Hulk was created by gamma radiation. You knew that Captain America was a super soldier. It's like they had all that.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have to all of a sudden they're not pulling stuff out of thin air, going this is not a clean slate. So I think that's a complete bullcrap argument. I really do. And
Yeah, a lot of the story changes they've made in the MCU were strictly like legal or logistical. Like it was stuff like, well, we have to rewrite this part of the comics lore because Fox owns the rights to this or Sony owns the rights to this. Like,
yeah,
it's not that they're getting creative with it; it's that they're hamstrung a little bit and they're coming up with solutions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because,
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about that, like, what if they decided to say that Spider-Man didn't become Spider-Man from a radioactive spider if they just made up some ridiculous story? They would have ate shit over that. and it's, so like you said, they have something to fall back on, where it wasn't, like you said, the clean slate, where Star Wars would have benefited from that because they're on the clean slate. They didn't have anything to fall back on for general storytelling, like, because everything Marvel did stuck to that original story, and then you branched off, where Star Wars was on a blank sheet of paper, and they just said, screw it, I guess.
Yeah. Wade Lindemann says Filoni would never have the sequel trilogy drift along aimlessly. That's where he's so good in regards to story and Star Wars lore. And tying it back to what we just talked about, maybe that's where the promotion thing comes from. Maybe he's going to have more say if she's like, well, let's do it this way, and he might be able to go, well, that might not be the best idea. Whereas when they first started, she was in charge, and he was just kind of like maybe going along with the flow type of, maybe it's just his influence is rising. I don't know that for sure, but it's such
that's his ability as a storyteller, though. Like, he had, I don't know if you remember the hype around Clone Wars before it came out, but they really built it up around, like, we're going to get to know these clones. The fact that they're all genetically identical doesn't mean they're not individual people, and we're going to tell the story of the boots on the ground, of the soldiers of the war. And that's where it started. But then first, credit to Dave Filoni for having the perseverance to see Ahsoka through as a character, because he ate nothing but shit for that for the first couple seasons.
Yeah.
But as soon as he brought in like Anakin and Obi-Wan, like, people just wanted to see more stories based around like the Jedi and Dooku and Grievous and all these other characters that were not the clones. And he just kind of ran with it a little bit, right? Like, I'm sure that his initial concept for the series was not the same as what we ended up with, but it made sense. Like, he adapted the story as he went, but it didn't completely like jump the shark.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, that's the difference between like going into a trilogy of movies and not even knowing where you're trying to get the story to go versus adjusting and tweaking things along the way. Like George Lucas did in the beginning, where he's like, you know what? Vader could be Luke's dad. That'd be cool. Like, it didn't shatter anything.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in the initial draft. And there's a difference there between like going with the flow and having no clue where the river's going. Well,
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, he had that outline of the 3 movies. He said it in Empire of Dreams. Like, he wrote all this stuff, and he's like, he chopped it into 3 bits. Like, he had written this big long story. It got away from him. And I think that's the difference. Like, yeah, you can add something like, okay, Vader is Luke's father, because that's just kind of like something that happens along. I mean, it's a huge plot twist, so I'm not trying to belittle it by any means. But you can add that in because you already have the storyline generally mapped out. So you're just kind of fleshing out what's already there, as opposed to the whole, here, go ahead and make up whatever the hell you want. Like, I mean, I can't believe that was ever greenlit like that. I can't even believe it. I mean, it's like, I'm sorry. I know that there's a huge paycheck involved, so I get that. You're not going to bite the hand that feeds you, especially when they're like, hey, man, we'll give you like $20 million to make a Star Wars movie. You're just going to shut up and do it. But when all these people sit there and they go, oh, I was such a huge Star Wars fan. I grew up on Star Wars. Well, then why'd you let them do that? Go into the meeting, and when they say, we're just going to wing it, go, no, that's really not a good idea, and here's why. Stand up for it. I mean, if you're that big of a fan, don't let this happen. I mean, if you still want to take the paycheck, if they just basically go, go F yourself, take the paycheck and do what we say or get out, and you want to take the money, okay. But at least have the conviction to say, I am a fan. This is a dumb idea. And I can't believe no one did that. Either somebody's ego is way too big in the room and they're like, no, trust me, it's going to work. Like, maybe that was Kathleen Kennedy or somebody, on her level. Or, people were just ignorant and their egos got in the way. Like, no, this is going to work. Like, no, it won't. I mean, it's not hard to see at a distance.
Yeah.
It seems like she's just doing the same job she already was before anyway. Like, she was, I think, an executive producer or something. She was in pretty much the same role working with like Steven Spielberg, for example.
That's
You know,
what she
back
was
before. Yeah. So she was never the one like creating the content. She was the one making sure it got out.
doing.
So to blame any story problems on her, like some of these things that she gets blamed for, the inconsistencies, is just some of it's coincidence and some of it's just the business of movies, right? Like, you know, they want to blame the directorial problems on working with her. Okay, well, that is kind of her job, is to make sure the buck stops with her. So if she thinks that she's getting a crap product that's not up to snuff for Star Wars, then it's her job to pull the plug on it.
Yeah.
So getting rid of, you know, Lord and Miller on Solo and Gilroy, is that right?
Gilroy was
On
the guy.
Rogue One?
Gilroy was the guy that came in at the end. You're thinking
That's
Gareth
right.
Edwards. Gareth
Edwards. Yeah. So switching directors, that's her job to do that. And then, you know, we had the Game of Thrones guys that were going to be Wise and Benioff were going to be doing something, but Netflix paid them $250 million not to.
Yeah.
So, okay, sorry, you didn't get them. It's like a general manager in football not being able to get the free agent because someone else, you know, has a bigger contract offer.
Somebody outbid.
It happens.
Yep.
Yeah. They want to blame her for the High Republic being kind of like a botched rollout, so to speak. No, I think the pandemic kind of did that one, actually.
Exactly.
So,
Well, maybe Kathleen Kennedy is to blame for COVID too.
Yeah.
it could be. Maybe, you know what it was? Maybe Rise of Skywalker was so damn bad, the world was like, fuck this. We're locking down movie theaters.
Look at you
Yeah.
with the conviction for the F-bomb. Look at you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
The rare NHC F-bomb. Yeah, Joseph Friend says Star Wars had plenty of source material in the comics and books before Disney bought the franchise. Is that KK's doing too? Kathleen Kennedy? That's good.
Well, I got an answer to
Wait
that.
a minute. Is
and I'm
that an argument for or against her? Because if you know some of that material,
I was going to say, I know John will agree with me, and I know the exact answer to that. It's because nobody cares about the comics and the books.
Well, you're gonna piss off the EU fans now, Steve.
right?
Oh, whatever.
The good stuff is getting
all
reappropriated
three of
anyway.
them can have a problem with me. All right.
Three. You wish it was only 3 people.
Right? No, the good stuff comes back anyway. I mean, that's how we got Thrawn.
Yeah.
They'll milk it for what the good stuff is, and they'll throw the other 99.9% away in the garbage where it belongs.
We need Plagueis. If we're gonna be mining the EU, we need Plagueis.
Yes.
Damn it!
I'll
Episode
take
0.
that.
I want it.
Hey, maybe that's what that Acolyte series is going to be about. That'd be awesome.
That would be great. I would be all about that because that book was kick ass.
So do you guys want to?
Joe's on your side, Steve.
Thank you.
Joseph Friend said Steve nailed it. All right, so go for it, AJ.
So you want to pick apart this trash article by Giant Freaking Robot? This is from 10 months ago, by the way, so the information's a little bit out of date. But this is the
was right on
paragraph,
time for us.
right? Yeah. So this is where they're making a case for firing Kathleen Kennedy,
boy.
which I don't know if this is fact checked or not. They say her contract expires this year. Didn't say when, so maybe we'll hear something. I don't know.
That was last year, so maybe it was supposed to expire last year. Everything I've read said that all that I saw things about that report, and everything I heard was that was total crap. That she's fine.
Yeah, I don't know what length their contracts are, but it's been 9 years since she took over, right? She was installed right when the sale took place, right?
Yeah, it was 2012 or whatever it was. Yeah.
I don't know how many contracts she's had, but 9 just seems like an odd number. Like, isn't it like 5 years a contract or 4 years a contract?
It is Star Wars. Maybe it was 3 3-year contracts.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Illuminati getting involved. I like it.
Well, did they pick up
Conspiracy
the?
theory?
That's
up
like
her
a Dan
option
Brown
year?
level thing right there.
I know it's right.
Do they pick up the option year or?
Yeah.
Or what do they call them? Phantom years? Or something? What are those ones? Those fake years where they can like pad out cash when they don't really exist?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've
I
never
don't
heard
understand
of
the
that
business
before.
of football. I'm not even pretending. No, it's a new thing in football where they like have fake years added onto the contract to like spread out the cap impact or something, but the years don't really exist. I don't know.
I am not sure.
You're
But
all over
since-
that stuff. I thought you would have heard about that. Anyway,
Maybe
I pay attention to the game, not the business end of it. I don't give a damn.
Dude, you're all draft class and stuff like that.
Yeah, the draft. Who'd we pick? Who's good? Who's not? Not if their incentive kicks in their third year, it's only going to be a $4.5 million hit on the cap. I don't give a crap. I want to drink a few beers and go down and scream my ass off in the dog pound.
Good call.
Seems legit.
All right, so here's what Giant Freaking Robot had to say about the stuff. Said firing Kathleen Kennedy makes sense. A lot of the upcoming Star Wars projects Kennedy is in charge of are in total disarray. Television shows like the upcoming Obi-Wan series have been started, then stopped, scrapped, and restarted, wasting time and money. And Lucasfilm seems to have no idea at all what they're going to do with the franchise in the realm of movies. You want to take that one on?
A lot of that's crap. We don't have confirmation that they ever started anything with Kenobi and then scrapped it and started over again. Everything that we
kind of
heard
do
was,
actually.
Well, no, everything we heard was that it was supposed to be a movie.
Right.
So they were going to do a movie, but it was never said whether or not it was in production or anything.
That's I think what they're saying is like first it was, hey, we're doing an Obi-Wan movie. Then it was, no, we're not. Then we're like, hey, we're doing an Obi-Wan series. Now, then that got stopped because of pandemic shutdown. So I won't buy into that crap at all. But
see, that's the thing is like this article, like a lot of the source material has been proven to be garbage. It was garbage at the time. They can't come out and name anybody. That's the one thing I will say. Like rumors get out and around in the Star Wars, community, and generally speaking, it's the same ones that are crap and the same ones that are reputable, and you can actually say, okay, that's legitimate information. So, Big Freaking Robot, not so much. Sorry, Big Freaking Robot, but You know what the other popular name is, though, to replace her if she does end up leaving or getting fired? Kevin Feige.
Okay, that's another one. I was going to say Jon Favreau.
But again, then you're in the same boat you're in with Filoni. It's like if he's in the boardroom, he's not out making stuff. So what good does that get you? You're taking him out of the arena you want him in the most. See, that's why I don't understand people don't think about this crap. Like, just have him run everything. Okay, well, why don't you go do it then? Do that at your job. Go do 2 jobs at once and see how one of them falters. It's really that simple. And if you're really good at one job, they're not gonna be like, okay, now you're the president. Then you're like, oh crap. Then all of a sudden you're not doing everything you were doing in the job you were good at.
Right. I like the Mandalorian just as it is. Leave it alone. Don't give him more stuff.
Yeah. And a lot of this stuff comes out because Marvel is doing a great job with everything that they're doing right now. So that's why they want Kevin Feige. That's why they want Favreau. Let one Marvel movie fall flat on its face, and all of a sudden, see how many of these rumors are coming out that Marvel guys are coming to take over Star Wars.
Yeah, Wade Lindemann, by all accounts, right now, Andor, Kenobi, and Book of Boba are all on schedule. Yeah, so that's not a problem. And Steve, it'll be interesting. I mean, you make a really good point, because I keep wondering about these new movies coming out, because previously it was, you start off with Iron Man, and it's all these characters that people really, really know.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you put out an Iron Man movie, people are like, okay, that was a ballsy choice at the outset, because you're thinking, okay, that's not the guy that you would think they would start the whole thing off with. But even though people know him, he wasn't like, But then they put, then they do like a Captain America movie, and they have the Hulk, and they have Thor, and it's, it's huge. And now they're putting stuff out like, Black Widow people are going to watch because, she's been established over, the whole MCU over, how many years. But, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the people don't really know who Shang-Chi is.
Yeah.
The Inhumans, like, people don't know who that is. So it's
I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, they're getting to a point where the ideas are going to start to get thin, so they're just going to start grasping at other comic books. And it's like, let's make the Eternals, and let's make Shang-Chi, and let's make this. And then sooner or later, you're going to get to a point where people are just like, okay, enough with the C-level characters.
Yeah.
let's rehash Captain America again or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to see all those movies. We'll get back on Star Wars. I mean, this is not a Marvel conversation, but I'm going to see those movies, and I'm excited to see those movies because I like all the other stuff so much. But if they were just to start out with this, and they're going to go, hey, our first movie is Black Widow, I'd be like, huh?
Yeah, it would have been kind of weird.
Yeah, I'm like, where the hell's Captain America? Where's the Hulk?
Yep.
And same thing with Shang-Chi. I never even heard of Shang-Chi before, so I'd be like, what is this? So, like, to your point, if one of those just absolutely tanks, is everyone going to all of a sudden be off the Kevin Feige bandwagon? It's weird.
Well, that's the difference between Star Wars and MCU. Is Star Wars is trying to tell one cohesive narrative, so you cannot just jump ship and be like, oh, we're over here now and we're over here now. Like, no, there's one major storyline and some side plots. That's what Star Wars is. Yeah. Where Marvel has like all sorts of stuff going on and dimensions and timelines. And
you guys ready for a hot take? Hot take. Joseph Friend, this is not a hot take. Joseph Friend says, more Daredevil, please. The hot take is what I'm about to say. I love the Ben Affleck movie, and the director's cut where they had 30 minutes makes that movie make sense.
I've got admin privileges too, buddy. Blocked. There we go. You're in a timeout.
I can bring myself back.
You're
there. Yeah, how about that? I can do it too, you jerk.
Hey, I'm by myself.
I soloed Steve.
Dark secrets only the Sith knew.
Right? Solo.
Look,
2.
man. I did not have a problem. Like, let's say we got to get back.
You just said Solo 2. You just said Solo 2. Can we get on that real fast?
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah, we can get on Solo 2.
You talk about what the Twitterverse is good for. After the Snyder Cut came out of Justice League, finally, that's the new Star Wars hashtag is make Solo 2 happen. I love that that's trending. I love that Twitter believes that they can get movies made if they just raise enough of a stink about it, and now everyone wants Solo 2.
That's not new. That is a very old hashtag that was like,
I know, but the fact that it's gained new steam.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was there, then it picked up a lot of steam and it disappeared, and it's kind of getting back up there again.
Mm-hmm. It's like every time they're not feeding us something else to tweet about. Like right now, it's kind of a lull in the Twitterverse for Star Wars. So now we're like, Solo 2. Let's do Solo 2. Like, yes.
I'm all for it.
I think that would be a brilliant idea. I mean, it'd be cool as a show. I just wish they would do it as a movie. So, oh God, that pisses. Yeah, man.
Okay, this arrangement is pissing me off. I got to duck out for a second and get back in my spot on the right.
I was wondering what I was wondering.
There we go.
You were going to do that.
All is right in the world again.
I was doing that too, and I was like, man, this feels really weird. But I'm like, I'm not going to stop the show for it. But
it's weird.
You want to turn on the top row?
Yeah. Once you
we can put you up here.
Once you mention that, it is weird that like this is just how it is now. So when you guys do that, it really does kind of throw you off a little bit.
Yep. Yeah. I just, the Solo 2 thing, I want to look right into the eyes of people out there that may have been in the camp of, well, I'm not going to see Solo because I didn't like The Last Jedi, so I'm not going to do it. So, thanks to you, we may not get Solo 2 because you were an effing jerk. So it is your fault, and I'm blaming you directly. Thanks a lot. And I don't want to hear any of you that were on that bandwagon say, oh, I could go for Solo 2 as well. Well, you're not going to get it, and you should be banned from watching it. So there.
It's actually short for Solo also, by the way, Joseph Friend.
They're going to make Solo 2, and they're going to check people's IP addresses, and if you shit on Solo 1, they're not going to allow you to watch the new one.
That's fantastic. That's like our idea of having a mixer celebration where everyone has to wear their Twitter handle.
Oh my God. Honestly, that would be like the greatest thing ever. You know my take on social media. I think anybody should be able to say anything they want, but in order to have an account on any platform, you have to give your legitimate name, phone number, and an address. That way, you can do whatever you want, but you're risking getting your ass kicked or your house blown up or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, that's freedom of speech is fine as long as, you realize there's consequences. This hiding behind handles and stuff. It's like, I think that'd be hilarious at Celebration. I just think that would be hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like Doomcock and everything wouldn't be able to hide behind that stupid mask that, all that clickbait crap that, they do. All right.
See, I like this one.
Yeah.
I like this one because the worst thing that can happen to Alden Ehrenreich is that he ages into Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he get too old to look younger than Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Wade Lindemann says Alden recently said he'd like to play the part again before they need a third actor to play Solo. I'd like a Solo 2 movie too. Solo #1. Tell him, John. Well,
actually, chronologically in the timeline, I guess Alden Ehrenreich is Solo 1 and Harrison Ford is Solo 2.
We're not going to do that. Look at this, Joseph Wren. Click and drag your windows, noobs. It's not that we're noobs. It's just that anytime I click something, I generally break it. So I try not to click anything. If it's working, I let it go.
No,
yes, I know that, AJ. I did it when
Put it back.
didn't.
I'm triggered.
I got you, Steve.
Oh.
I got you.
No.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah, it's better.
That's funny. So
My OCD was kicking in. I can't have that.
yeah, Solo 2 would be so great. I mean, it's right when that movie ended, you're just like, oh my God, this could be so amazing. Like, where is this gonna go? Like, think of all the characters they could bring in, and then nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Although we are getting a Lando series.
Well, yeah, but
I mean, I assumed Donald Glover is going to be back for that.
Isn't he confirmed for it? I thought, or have they said nothing about it?
I haven't heard anything about it, but that's so far off. I mean, the announcement itself was just made last year. I don't think they've had any more news about it.
I don't think they could recast Lando a third time. There's no way. At
They'll
some
just
point,
make it
kinda-
It's the
animated
old Lando series. It's Billy D.
yeah, old Lando. He's like in the home. He's on Bespin, like in some sort of like adult, like, rest community or something. I used to run this place. I used to be in charge here. Sure you were, Mr. Calrissian. Okay, let's just get you your pills. Okay.
I figured he'd just be stuck on Pisana still.
He can't get off.
Right?
He's just sitting there with
Like, that's why he was there the whole time. He's been waiting like 20 years for someone to pick him up. Luke just jetted. He's like, dude, you were my ride.
Lando actually, like, off screen is a total jerk and no one likes him. So he's like, all right, let me jump on that ship and get out of here. And they're like, sorry, I'll full, gotta go. Damn it. Happened again. Like, no one will help him out. That's why he was dressed in that costume, like that disguise during that party at Pisana. Because if he goes out there as himself, they're like, boo, get out of here, Lando, you're an asshole. But if he goes out there and just starts partying it up with his little disguise, then he can actually like hang out with people and enjoy the party.
Hey, highlight the very last comment we got so far.
I tried.
Old
yeah.
Lando, a Star Wars sitcom, says Joseph Wren.
It's going to be a remake of Sanford and Son, but it's going to be Lando and the Falcon. The Falcon's just kind of like old and jalopy-ish now.
It comes on the screen. Wow, 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 wow. Dun, 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 dun.
Hey, that MODOK series on Hulu is pretty awesome. If they want to do a Lando series in the same vein and just get the Robot Chicken guys to do more Star Wars skits, I'm good with that.
Yeah, right.
Man, oh man.
You will also ride this unicycle. This deal's getting worse all the time.
This deal's very fair, and I'm pleased to be a part of it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So anyways.
So let's assume that at some point Kathleen Kennedy will step down. Who would you want to take over? I mean, we've got a couple of valid candidates. We got Favreau, we've got Filoni, we've got Kevin Feige. So, I mean, who would your pick be to take over?
That's a good question because, again, people that are just throwing out Filoni and Favreau are coming from the perspective, well, I like the shows they make. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they can guide the business. And eventually they're going to have turds. It's not like everything they touch is going to turn to gold. Something's going to suck. So, meaning if you put them in charge of everything. Yep. So I'm trying to think of who in a business sense would be. That's I hate to say it, but you know what? No, I don't hate to say it. I'm gonna say it. George Lucas. Keep Favreau and Filoni where they're at, and then you put George Lucas, in charge of the business stuff because he's done it before, and then he's got creative input a little bit, and Favreau and Filoni could be like, well, what if we did it this way instead? So you've got the heart and soul of Star Wars, because let's be honest, I love the sequel trilogy, but let's be honest, it's not George Lucas Star Wars, and it shows. So you would have that little bit of input from George Lucas along with the talents and abilities of Favreau and Filoni.
Well, it's funny you mention that because we do have Giant Freaking Robot reporting from an insider. If you want to hear what this would be like.
They just wrote an article based on what you said just now, John.
Yeah, seriously.
So apparently they've been trying to get him to come back for several months, but he would change the subject, avoiding the topic, or respond in a non-committal way. But they asked him point blank eventually, what would it take to get you on board with heading up Lucasfilm? To which Lucas allegedly said, if I were to return, I have 4 conditions that would have to be met. Now tell me this is not fanfic of the highest level. The conditions are, condition 1, he gets to make his sequel trilogy. 2, full creative power until he decides to hand it off. 3, Kathleen Kennedy is gone. Well, you're taking her job, so yeah.
Yeah.
4, Disney agrees to never, ever mess with the original trilogy, leaving it untouched.
What's there to do to it? Everything's been done. See, that's why I'm saying
he was the one that messed with it in the first place with the special edition and the Blu-ray. So what the hell?
Yeah, and the whole Kathleen Kennedy is gone. Like you said, yeah, she's gone. But he also hired her.
I was to say he's the one that handed her the reins.
It's not like he hates her. Like what? Who's coming up with this? That's what I'm saying. Like sites like this that are just clickbait and stuff. It's just stupid. It's I'm gonna make my sequel trilogy. Like, okay, it would probably be like 10, 11, and 12 if he were to do that. He's not gonna go retconning stuff that already exists. The guy is like one of the most, extreme champions for independent filmmaking that's ever been, and for artists having a creative voice. He's not going to cancel 3 movies and go, that's not what I would have done. I mean, that's not even in his DNA.
Yeah. So, we're gonna eliminate 7, 8, and 9. You know what we need? Midichlorians.
Well, now that's the other thing is that if supposedly he said it himself that like he was going to delve deeper into let's not do that. That'd be
As soon as AJ read that, the only thing that popped into my mind was the midichlorian trilogy, and I was like,
sounds like a science class. Like, I don't want nothing to do with that, man. No, thank you.
Yeah, no, it would not be George. I would be on board with Favreau though. I think Favreau could pull it off because we've seen that The Mandalorian is this launching board for all these other series now. So he at least has an idea of how to tell like cohesive, integrated storytelling. I don't know about the business of selecting other directors, but he was pretty integral in that too, right? Like picking the directors that directed each episode, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty much The Mandalorian is pretty much just the Jon Favreau show, as far as I know.
Yeah. Miranda Helmick says, "What about Deborah Chow?" Well, Deborah Chow is just a director, so I don't. You're basically taking somebody like, who's running the fry station at McDonald's and making him general manager, which I think is a little bit extreme of a leap. So
it's one hell of an analogy.
Well, I was trying to think of something that's like, easily understood. It's like about a giant leap there. So I'm fat.
Given the current state of things, I think the person running the fries at McDonald's makes more money. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, Deborah Chow did some great stuff on The Mandalorian, but again, she's a director, and then again, you're getting into the realm of, just because somebody could do something creatively doesn't mean that they can do something on a business level.
Yeah. That's the toughest part. The toughest thing to answer about that is everybody we mentioned can give you great show content, but you don't know if they have it in them to run that day-to-day nonsense behind a desk. So I mean,
they can run it into the ground.
Yeah, I said they might be horrible at it. They're great directors, they're great marketers, all that, but when you get thrown into that fire that you have to control everything, like to try to turn off the director in your head and try to do something else, like who's to say they're even halfway good at that job? So
yeah, well, and there's that certain patience that you have to have.
Except for Feige, because he is the president of Marvel. So I mean, maybe things are not that much different coming over here, but who knows?
Yeah. But again,
Feige would be the closest one, but there's so much stuff that goes beyond the storytelling aspect and the content creation part of it. Like, celebrations next year. I guarantee you Kathleen Kennedy has a lot of say in what's being shown and what isn't. Anytime there's a Lego set produced, I don't think it's Lego going straight to JJ on, The Rise of Skywalker or Force Awakens being like, hey, what do the ships look like? Like that kind of stuff. There's so much other crap that goes on with her job that has nothing to do with making movies or streaming series or anything.
Yeah.
And if that was my passion, was filmmaking, the last thing I'd want to do is be a producer.
Yeah. Wade Lindemann says, what about that Pablo dude? You mean Pablo Hidalgo, who made that YouTuber cry? I didn't know he made a YouTuber cry. That's great.
The only thing I know about Pablo Hidalgo now is that he has our Twitter page blocked.
He blocked everybody, yeah. We never
I
said
don't
a bad
care.
word about the guy.
I don't care that he blocked everybody. It still makes me feel special that he blocked our show.
He knows we exist. It counts.
Yep.
That's it.
There we go. Yeah, I think, Wade, I think that Pablo Hidalgo falls under the same category because he's basically like a continuity. He's like the Star Wars continuity guy with like where it comes to like stories and vehicles and all that kind of stuff, which again doesn't fall into the realm of the business side of things. And again, that's the hardest thing is that it's like, because it is so different, they could easily come up with like an awesome slate of movies and completely botch everything else around it, and the company might tank. So, it's you got to have somebody that's got the business acumen to pull it off.
It seems like a lot of the stuff that people love as far as projects go and the whole interconnected universe going on right now, that's actually credit to Kathleen Kennedy. Something like it seemed weird to me when they announced that they were going to do one more season of the Clone Wars, right? Like resurrecting the series that wrapped years ago, and they'd already, written a follow-on series too and everything. Yeah. Like that's just way too much investment to bother for like one season of television. Mm-hmm. And then we find out, oh wait, they're making a whole other animated series off of those same animation models. That's why it made financial sense to do it. Like, it wasn't like Filoni went and was like, hey, I've got this idea for like a few more Clone Wars stories. Can we do this? If anything, he must have had some pushback to be like, okay, well, why does it make sense to do this? Well, if we make a whole other show off of all the money we're investing in making this one season of television, now it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like I don't think that the producers, the creators themselves are coming up with that idea. I think that's Kathleen Kennedy's job to figure out how does it make business sense to bring these stories to life.
Yeah. So I just thought of a name. And this would involve merging two enormous companies into one, like the biggest like entertainment company in terms of movie making. What about Peter Jackson? You would then roll Weta and Lucasfilm together, like ILM and Weta and all that kind of stuff. And he basically he kind of did the same thing with like the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit and all these. Those are his companies.
It's basically a whole company based off of one franchise. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, as much as we love Indiana Jones, let's face it, Lucasfilm is the Star Wars franchise. It's the Star Wars studio.
Yeah. But I mean, Peter Jackson's done the thing, it's pretty close to what George Lucas did. So maybe he would be an excellent choice for that.
Maybe.
I wonder if he'd
Makes
be
sense.
interested.
Well, again, that's why I'm thinking. Like, he's already got Weta. He owns everything. He runs everything. Like, if he was going to do this, would it be a case where he would be able to kind of lump them together, or have Weta be like an overseas ILM type of a thing? I don't know. I don't know how that would work out, but he's the closest thing to George Lucas that we've had in terms of an idea outside of George Lucas himself.
And he's got his own prequel trilogy debacle, so this is perfect.
I guess in the JJ article, somebody was saying, they posted some Peter Jackson stuff, that he said with the Hobbit movies that he was actually kind of winging it too. And I'm thinking, the hell can you wing it? The book's already written. What's there to wing? Just tell the damn story.
Yeah.
Like, what's that? I don't understand that.
Did you ever read The Hobbit?
Of course I have.
Okay, so there was a bunch of stuff invented for the movie, right? Like,
did I just say
forget
that I read the book, or did I just say I read the book?
well, then what do you mean?
What did I just say? Why would you ask a question like that?
I don't know, because you're saying like the book was already written, but there was stuff that wasn't in the book that was in the movie. So clearly he was winging it a little bit.
Well, that's why I said it was a stupid idea, because the damn book is already there. Just do that. You don't have to add crap. I mean, that whole third
That was a
movie
weird thing, yeah.
I never understood that whole third movie. It's like, what's the point? Just do the two. It looks great. It's fun. It's like Lord of the Rings light. Just do it. I mean, what's
that was a
so
very
hard?
last second decision. I remember a lot of the materials came out and all the merchandising around it was based around 2 movies. And then they had to slap this is a preview of the third movie, because they'd already printed the boxes for all the stuff for what was supposed to be the end of the franchise.
Yeah, right.
Like, oops.
Yeah, no.
I guess it's not in this movie.
Yeah, but not to beat you up. I was kidding, but yeah, like I read the book several times, and so I was very aware. And like, that's not in there. Like, I didn't. I mean, now I full disclosure, I'll be completely honest and say that if there is a book that I like and they make a movie out of it, if they start messing with it, I get really pissed off. I'm one of those, it's good the way it is, quit effing with it types of people. So that was, that doesn't exactly sit well with me. But yeah, that's a really good question. It's hard. And there's probably only a handful of people on the planet that could do Kathleen Kennedy's job. Again, there's a certain patience that you have to have. There's a certain humility that you have to know that, I mean, but it's like with any good boss, they hire good people and put them in their positions to do their jobs, and they get out of the way. And there's a lot of people that just can't do that, especially when you get the egos involved in a multi-billion-dollar corporation like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, to me, the whole Kathleen Kennedy thing, to bring it around full circle before we jump out for tonight, to me, it's a be careful what you wish for thing. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I suggested George Lucas. Well, he might have come in and said, no, we're making a midichlorian trilogy. And then everyone's like, what in God's name is this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but you got George Lucas back, so that's what you wanted.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we'll see if George Lucas has chops when he directs that episode of Andor.
I can't wait for that.
That is going to be cool.
I really hope that they don't come out and say which one it is, and because I want to see people speculate. Like, once the whole season's out, like, it'd be cool to see if you can tell which one he did. Like, what if it's really, really obvious? Like, just one episode stands out like a sore thumb, and it's like by far the best one. Could you imagine?
Well, remember, we've got it in canon now that Jar Jar survived the original trilogy, so we could get Jar Jar in the Andor series.
Oh,
that's a very real possibility.
Yeah,
Jar Jar and midichlorians, and
we get to episode 3 of the Andor series, and you just hear off screen, Misa, and you're like, "There's the George Lucas one."
You're starting a rebellion.
You're
a bomb pad X-wings.
Like, well,
this is clearly the George episode. All right, here we go.
we see you, George. We see you. Yeah, no, I think it'd be interesting because if it's obvious which one it is, then you get to see social media explode all over again. You know, people just throwing a fit, you know, just, oh my God. Like, see, George should have stayed in it the whole time. You gotta...
Dude, the way,
Wade
way
Lindemann with Jar Jar Binks. He says, then K2SO stomps his ass.
The messed up thing is the way that like Star Wars Twitter is now, and we all remember the hate, you know, of Jar Jar Binks back in the day. Like the way it is today, Jar Jar could be in that episode, and that whole night or the next day after that episode airs, people are on. They're just gonna all of a sudden be huge Jar Jar fans now. Like, oh yeah, he really is a good character if you think about it.
I mean, people have come around on him a lot since that time. So at least can't blame everybody for that. But I think you'd see. But then again, it would also, you know, what it'd probably be, Steve. It'd probably be that nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's one of those things where you hate something and then all of a sudden you see it like 20 years later and you're like, oh my God, you know what? Actually, man, I really like this. Didn't even know it. That's what it would be with Jar Jar.
Yeah. You get Jar Jar and a couple of pod racers in that episode, and now all of a sudden people are fans.
Yep. Exactly. So, all right, man. Well, on that note, why don't we close up shop for tonight? That was cool. You know, a lot of interesting stuff. Kind of, I like when we do random conversations. It's just kind of like we don't have to stay on the rails very much. So,
isn't that our whole show every week?
We usually have a distinct one topic idea, and this one we had a couple things to bring to the table. So, you know, and you did show prep.
Yeah.
Show prep. So,
See, we fell off the. See, AJ, we flew off the rails like we normally do, but because we had multiple things to talk about, it didn't seem like we went off the rails.
Yeah, look at Joseph Rem. Hashtag more Purgle, please. I'm gonna ban you from this chat room if there's a way to do that. You keep bringing those damn things up. Space whales are a no-no. We've been over this. Oh, all right. So, anyways,
George Lucas comes back in, and we get the Purgle trilogy.
All right. Well, see you later, Steve. I think you're off the show for the night. He is now officially banned.
Hey, oh damn.
So, anyways, guys, thanks for checking out another episode of the Nerfherder Council. We are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for a 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. You can get customizable Nerfherder Council swag at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. You can find the audio version of the podcast pretty much anywhere audio podcasts are found. So just Google the Nerfherder Council and you'll see us there. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all those good places. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to click the like button, the subscribe button, get notified when we're going live. For example, as I said before, this coming Friday in 2 days on May 28th, we will be right here at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time playing Cards Against Star Wars. So it's going to get a little goofy. I think at least one of us is going to be doing something we don't normally do on the show, and that is imbibe. There'll be some alcoholic beverages will be, flowing. So
That's the plan.
We'll see how this goes, But, yeah, so
You're going to be
tune
6
in.
deep by the time we start like last time?
Maybe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Steve tied one on good beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was man. That power hour. Oh my God.
No, it was AJ's birthday, dude. I made sure to let him know.
Commentary.
I made sure to let him know every time there was another empty because I kept dropping empty bottles on the floor.
Sounds like the Iron Sheik interviews, like the shoot interviews on the. Yeah, more beer, please.
Pretty much, it's pretty accurate, actually.
We should let everybody know though we're still kind of up in the air, making up like where we're going to stream this to because we're not really sure we want to risk the ban hammer on Facebook. So we're looking into other channels and keep an eye on our social media to make sure that you know where to tune in, because might not be our usual spots.
Yeah, it might just be YouTube, and Twitch, but we will see.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah. But so Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, jump in with us. It'll be probably pretty hilarious and borderline offensive. But what the hell? That's what we do. So we don't take ourselves too seriously. So anyway, until Friday, so 2 more days, and then we will see you guys again. I am your host, JT, at Dog Pound Jedi. He is AJ.
At Drake Adams 579.
He is Steve.
At Nerfherder Steve.
And we will catch you guys on Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.